And we're live, apparently. Right. So, what we need to do here is close that. That's onto there. Oh, I'll just click on that. Here we go. See if we get anybody jumping. Do you know the phone does alright for live streaming? Oh my word. Let's see what we get. 4 people are in. Cool. Okay. Boom. Hello. Abhishek. I'm sorry if I pronounced names wrong. Anyway. How are you doing? Hello. I hope you are safe wherever you are in the world, given the current situation. Stay safe. Hope your family are well and your friends. Let me know where you're from if you can. This is a bit of an impromptu live broadcast on YouTube. I've just ended one on Facebook, which is a bit of a tester from the Facebook page, but it's hard work getting people in and engaged on that. I think unless you're paying to boost your posts, it just buries everything. So I figured whilst I've got all this set up, why not jump onto YouTube for a little bit? Right, there we go. See, I knew it. I just said that YouTube instantly you get more engagement on live than Facebook, and I was right. Hi Pete, how you doing? Hello Ken. I am fine, thank you very much for asking. Family are well. I'm self-isolating. I think I've got 7 days. I don't know how many days I've got left. I've lost count. I don't know why I'm trying. But yes, in self-isolation at the moment. No one's ill bar a dry cough, no other symptoms. So that's hence why it's self-isolation at this point. Plenty of friends and family have been helping, going out getting food and what have you as needed. So that's awesome to see as well. I'll be doing the same for people as soon as I can, because I do have to go back out into the world once I'm out of isolation for some work that I'm doing, which is a little bit worrying, but there we go, it is. Class as an essential worker, and we shall see. So where are we from? I'm watching the stream on the laptop, that's why I'm looking down here, because I cannot read comments when on the phone that far away. You're based in India. Right, I believe India's just been locked down, hasn't it? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I hope I hope everyone's okay. Good to hear from you, Pete, as well. So what this is for the next quarter of an hour, half an hour, maybe we'll see how long it goes. It's just an impromptu live stream with a bit of a Q&A. My last video that I put on YouTube was asking people for questions on there, which would let me record some Q&A answer videos for some of those questions, or maybe just one per video if it's a bigger question, and back it up with maybe reference images or what have you, screen captures. It's a bit difficult to do that live because I don't have access to my full kit that I would have at the studio at the moment, because I can't get there. So for this stream this evening, any questions that you've got, anything that you'd like to talk about photography related, we'll try and keep it on topic. I appreciate the whole thing around the media at the minute is COVID-19, etc., but I'm pretty sure we're all sick of hearing about that. Do listen to the advice, stay home, wash your hands, etc., etc. But enough of that. So if you've got any questions, put them below. I may take some of them away and do follow-up videos later. If you look at the Q&A request video, which is on this channel, don't go now, and by all means pop a comment on there if you come up with one later on, and I'll be working on Q&A answer videos over the coming days, weeks, however long we're here. There we go. So let's see. Welcome everybody. Oh, Ken, how are you getting on with your new lights, by the way? I think you said on WhatsApp that you're enjoying it and it's working. Still all good. Have you used it much since this madness began? And I'm just, yeah, I'm not going to hide this. I'm drinking beer. Yeah. Why not? Where am I from? I'm based in a place called Stockport in the UK. Now, if you look at the UK map, if you say you have a look on Google or something like that, then you'll see Manchester, which is a fairly big city. You've got London down south, Birmingham you'll see, and then Manchester. There are other towns and cities in between, but you'll see Manchester, which is in the northwest of the country, over the way from there to Liverpool. But I'm in Stockport, just south of Manchester, and lived here most of my life. So, yeah, he does. Okay, all right. We got on to COVID-19. Go figure. Apparently, Prince Charles does have COVID-19. What annoyed me in the media about that, and it's the only thing I'm going to say on this, is it was all about him having it and then repeating the fact that he had it, and not one mention on BBC News was of how many people has he met when he's potentially been contagious, and how are they doing? Anybody tracking them down and letting them know? It's just all about Prince Charles. Yeah, I wouldn't wish it on anybody, don't get me wrong, but like, geez, like how many people was he meeting, and why was he doing public meetings during a pandemic? Seriously. Anyway, enough about that because it'll get me going. That really annoyed me. But yes, Abhishek or Sheik, again, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. Thank you very much for your concern. We're doing everything we can to stay safe. I have an at-risk family member, so I'm being particularly careful. Any shopping that gets brought in gets cleaned down. When I'm back out into the world working, which I do, I say unfortunately I have to do, but you know, people have still got to go out and do work so the country keeps running. It's the same everywhere. Key workers. Then I will be being very, very cautious for that reason. So yes, most definitely. Oh, hi Mark. Right, let's have a look at these comments. You can only put. Oh, here we go. This is a good question. Right, Pete, you're going to put me on the spot here. Okay, you can only purchase one modifier after this madness. All of your other ones perished. Well, that's a bit nasty. Which one do you buy? You're probably at that stage going to be working with a speed light. Let's be honest. Maybe a Pico 200, hopefully. But a small light, you know, you're assuming everything else is gone. As long as I have a camera, which could be an X100, not really fussed, or a 5D with a 24-105, and 5D2 that is, then I would get a speed light and I would get a 60-inch convertible umbrella. To be honest, I've said this time and time again in workshops. I've said it in my Let's Get This Lit workshop, which will be coming back, by the way, at some point. It is the Swiss Army knife of modifiers at the end of the day. You can do so much with it. You can do soft light, you can do hard light, shoot through, reflective, half closed down, poor man softbox, half covered, half umbrella, if you will, if you don't want light hitting the background, because people assume that umbrellas are light bombs, and true. But if you have a black cover that you can pop on, you can do a lot with them. They're very, very flexible. You can use them as reflectors, you can use them as scrims, use them for video light setups, of course, use them as backgrounds. You can do a lot for them. Wedding photographers use them with people holding them and then fire a light into them. It's got a ton of use. And the 30 quid, possibly not after this whole pandemic, but the 30 quid normally, and they're disposable. So if the wind destroys it, who cares? You just get another one at that point. But a 60-inch shoot-through umbrella. If you put it this way, you can do headshots with that. You'll know this, Pete. You know what you're doing with the camera and lights. And you can do headshots. You can do portrait work. You can do portrait works of 2 people, 3 people, larger groups at weddings. I've shot with a speed light. And my original DSLR, the 500D, that's harping back to the past, a group of 20 at a wedding. I was ISO 800 to get 5.6 out of it, pulled wide on the lens and stepped back, so I had enough depth of field, but I got it done at the end of the day. So they are very, very flexible modifier. Drunk in the kitchen. Not quite yet. I'm working on it, Mark. Anyway, let's have a look, see what Ken said. It's great, thanks. Yeah, it is. I mean, the Pika 200, it's a cracking light. It's very, very flexible. You can do a lot with it at the end of the day. It's got bags of power, about 3 times that of a speed light. You get bare bulb, Fresnel options, or Fresnel, whatever you want to say. And it's a very, very good light. I love mine, use them a lot, although not so much at the moment. Anybody else watching? We have 2 people at the moment. See if anybody else joins. I figured, why not? Because I set all this stuff up for the Facebook Live, which kind of tanked a bit, but I figured it may as a tester. I might as well try something on YouTube, because here we are. Mr. Bodie, are you still in the chat at the moment? Because I'm one person who's watching. I know that much. He's probably gone. Let me know who remains. 3 people. Okay. People who are in the chat. People who've already let me know who they are, where they're from. Sound off. Let me know you're okay. Let me know where you're based in the world. And for the next 10-15 minutes, hit me with a question photography related in the live chat below, and I'll do my best to answer it now, or I'll take it away and come back with a video on the subject later. When I say later, not tonight. It'll be in the coming days and weeks. So sound off in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. Do not be shy. Say hello. Ask me anything. And if Mr. Bodie's in the room still, I'm going to regret saying that. Good. I'm glad that your family are well, Pete. I mean, I think one of the positives that's come out of this pandemic, which sounds kind of weird saying that, really, to be honest with you, is people are spending more time with families, because usually life, work gets in the way. The rat race, all that. But main thing is that everybody's safe. Sandy, hello. I think I remember you from Self-Help Photographer, Spiros' live broadcasts. Correct me if I'm wrong there. So again, the whole thing about this is just an informal chat, hangout, something to distract you from what's happening in the world at the moment. Relax, grab a beer, grab a wine, grab 2, and then ask any photography questions down below. And when I say any, go for it. If I can't answer, I will come back to you with an answer at a later stage, either from somebody else through a contact that I know, if I can make that happen, or I will make a video to answer it later, if needs be. Pete. I thought it was. Thank you, Sandy. I hope you and your family and friends are all well over in the States. Yeah, last time I was in Massachusetts in the States was when I went to see my dad. He doesn't live there, he's in Texas, but we visited Boston, because he was Connecticut based originally. So looking forward to okay, so Pete says looking forward to trying the AD300 Pro when it comes out. I was going to pull the trigger on another Pika 200 at the photography show. We all know what happened with that, but the 300 sounds interesting. Right. The AD300 Pro is another Godox unit. It's going to be being sold, I believe, in the US. I know you're UK based, Pete, by Adorama, as their Flashpoint. I don't know what they call it, to be honest with you. And it'll be over here in the UK under the Pixapro banner as the City 300 Pro. Now, that light for me versus the Pika or AD200, they're fairly close together. Power output wise, you're probably half a stop difference thereabouts. It really ultimately depends on the efficiency of the modifier and the reflector, design of the bulb as well, in some ways. I do believe that for the, I'm going to call it the AD300 just to stop confusion, but I believe it will be able to use the battery from the AD200 as well as its own native one. I believe they're of a similar format. Now, whether it's a slower recycle rate, less full power pops, not quite sure because I've not had hands on yet. I will hopefully get hands on one at some stage via Pixar Pro to have a look at and maybe bring some videos on, but I don't know when that'll be at this stage. But yeah, it's caught my eye. It's a native Godox mount, which a lot of people kind of went, oh really? Why is it not Bowen's? Because it's smaller and it fits in the S2 bracket, which is then your Bowen's mount. Sorted. Well, yeah, it's the City series. So the City 300 Pro, as it will be, the City 600, the original manual or TTL, and the City 400 or 600 Pros as well in their lineup. All very good lights. I mean, ultimately, it's all the same. The Godox, the Flashpoint brand, Pixar Pro, it's all the same stuff. There's other manufacturers or resellers and distributors around the world, so you might find a different name in Canada. But it's all the same. I mean, what I recommend to people is buy local, regional, because yes, you may pay a bit more than you say pay on Amazon, but you get the local support for help regarding firmware updates, or if you need to get to know something about the light, and you can return it and exchange it and get support that way should anything happen. Rather than you getting it from Godox, and no offense Godox, if you ever watch this, they won't. I'm not going to ship it back there and wait 3 months. I'd rather just get it from the UK. Right. You're doing fine, that's good to know. Haven't left your house in weeks, which is also, it's good because it's the right thing to do. So, yay, Sandy. I get it, it's difficult, especially if you're used to further interaction and used to traveling, say, to and from work, used to be able to go out to the gym or walk to walk the dog, which I don't know the restrictions where you are, but over here, we're allowed to go out for exercise away from other people. You've got to keep 2 meters apart, so you could in theory take your dog for a walk. At that point you can go out for a run or a bike ride, again staying away from one another. You can go out as a family unit for exercise because you're all living together, although if someone is ill with symptoms of it, separate within your home and within your family unit as well. But generally speaking, only go out to exercise, only go out for shopping if you really need to, for medical supplies to help someone in a medical emergency, or for shopping. Although really, if you're self-isolating like I have been now for however many days, get someone to go for you, which I kind of don't like doing, knowing what the potential risk can be out there at the minute. But you know, there's plenty of people out there that will help. I know I've got friends I can ring if I'm stuck. But yeah, it kind of sucks. Husband is a truck driver, right? So he stays in his truck and the hotel. Yeah. Sounds like he's doing the right thing. It's a difficult time and it's scary. I mean, I knew we'd end up on this on the chat, but we've all got to do our part ultimately. And there's these people that have been dismissing the government advice and just going out partying, going out to the parks and congregating, going out to the pubs and restaurants when they were still open at the time. I mean, they're not over here now. Frankly, they're idiots because they're putting other people at risk. They could pick something up, take it home to a loved one who's a high risk. It's just, the mind boggles. So yeah, doing the right thing, but yeah, it's difficult. It's totally changing the way that we live at the moment. So any questions which are photography related, and again, it's not a dig at you, Sandy, it's just a move away from coronavirus and stuff, because I've heard enough about it. Ultimately, stay safe, people. Any other questions? So my question to you, Pete, what do you reckon you're going to go for then? Are you going to go for the City 600, or sorry, the City 300 or the AD 300 Pro, or the 200 Pro? Questions. You might want to consider a 200 if you've already got one in the kit, because it gives you a battery redundancy, definitely with that. Head and bulb redundancy at that point. So that's another thought, really. Depends. It's nice to have a kit of location lights that kind of work together and are the same, that's expandable, which is, I think, for me, talking about location, I've got myself started now. Talking about location lights, so the AD200 series, or the Pika 200s over here from Pixapro, they're so flexible. You can run one unit with Fresnel to the bare bulb. You can do the remote head, which I've got. I could go and grab it if needs be. I've got the dual head, so you can combine two of them together for a 400 watt second light. It's a very, very flexible system. You've got the round head, you've got the round head accessories, the grids, the bandeaux. So it kind of scales up, really. And it's a nice light kit, pun intended. Right. Anything else? Anything else? No, question from Ken. Let's have a look. You've got a 550D. You're thinking, well, okay, you're thinking of upgrading. Oh, I'm going to ask you a question in a minute. Okay, question to you, right back at you. Turn the table. Why are you thinking of upgrading? Will be my question first. At this point, is there anything that the camera doesn't do or doesn't have feature-wise that you wanted? Maybe, because that's a valid reason. If you've got, I mean, your camera does do video, but using this as an example, if it was an older camera, say like a 450D that doesn't have video, maybe you're thinking, well, I want to be able to take some stills, I want to be able to do some video from a YouTube channel as well. It makes sense to have something that combines them. So you get yourself a body that can do both. That's right. Maybe you want to use a camera for live streaming instead of your phone. Although this you're doing all right. I use one of my 5Ds for that. Although it's the 5D4 for that anyway. But let me know why you're thinking of upgrading. In terms of actually upgrading, just to give some general advice, and this may not be specific to you at the moment, Ken, until you come back to me, but it's worth sticking with the brand that you're familiar with, especially if you're invested in the system. So if you've got, say, 4 or 5 lenses already, which are EF mounts, then yeah, totally, it makes sense to stay within that system. Otherwise, you're probably going to take a hit and a loss, especially now, selling that on to jump onto a different system at that point. So I would stick with Canon, and it's not because I'm a Canon fanboy or anything like that. It just makes sense financially, really, to do that. I would stick with Canon myself, purely for that reason. Another reason for me working professionally and commercially, I do not want to have to learn a different camera system. I'm just not interested in doing that. So I would stay within the Canon system going forwards. Now, because you've not come back to me, right, put me on the spot. From the 550D, there are upgrades out there in the APS-C format, which would be a good option for you. So jumping from that to say the 80D, for example, or the 90D, depends on your budget, of course. For me, I went from the 550D to the 60D. Not that it was a bad camera, but that was a mistake. I should have just said, screw it, and gone straight to the 5D Mark II. Now I've got 2 of these in the kit, and I still shoot with them to this day. I do have other bodies as well, which are newer, but I jumped to full frame, and I'm not going back, quite frankly. For me personally, I prefer having the lens be what it is out of the box, field of view wise. I prefer the format of full frame, and it's not me saying that APS-C and crop are bad, they're not. I mean, ultimately, if you're into wildlife and birding, then a crop sensor camera is going to save you some money on some lenses, because you've got that extra 1.5 times cropping reach worth, and a tighter field of view, so that can help. If you're looking for something that's going to work in low light better, full frame. Personally, it's physics. Full frame is better in low light than APS-C. Now, it's not to say that a 2020 APS-C camera can't beat a 10-year-old 5D2 in low light. Processors, technology changes, I get it, but year for year equivalence, the larger pixels on the larger sensor win in low light. There's a lot of people that disagree with that, but it's physics. But there you go. That changes if you go to a very high resolution camera. So my 5DSR Do you know what? It's not that bad in low light, but it's no 5D2 and it's no 5D4, that's for sure. If you downsample the files and make them smaller, yeah, it'll hold its own, but it's not a low light camera. So depending on what you want your camera to do, Ken, maybe consider a jump to full frame if you're doing, say, portrait work and low light work. Anybody these days will have video if you're looking for that. The EOS RP is a good little camera. The EOS R for the mirrorless side if you want to move away from DSLRs. Although there's a misnomer going from DSLR to mirrorless on the weight saving. Not really, not when you look at the lenses. So the whole weight saving thing is just rubbish in my mind. It all depends on what you want. Okay, any other questions? Have I put you on the spot, Ken, asking you a question back? You've gone quiet, fella. So we'll do another 10 minutes or so. Sandy, have you got any questions yourself? Just to take your mind off this whole thing that we're going through. And mine as well. Now, I will just say, I don't normally drink on live streams. But anyway. You're interested in Wi-Fi, right. Okay, cool, right. Most cameras these days will have Wi-Fi. The first Canon camera which had Wi-Fi was, I think, the 6D back in the day, which is a full frame camera but doesn't have the flip screen. So for a flip screen with Wi-Fi, you're looking 80D, you're looking 90D for DSLRs, crop sensors. You'll be looking for the EOS RP or EOS R for the mirrorless. Obviously, that's probably going to change going forward. There'll be more. And for full frame DSLR 6D Mark II, I think that's about it on the Canon side. The 5Ds, again, the 5D4, 5D2 don't have a flip out screen, but you can plug in a wireless module into those to give you Wi-Fi. But then who wants to take a dongle round with them? Unless you buy a laptop from Apple these days. Anyway, right. Oh, okay. Apparently I look very... Okay, right, you're gone. The chances of me taking my shirt off on a live stream on YouTube are extremely remote. Thank you for the compliment of the beard. Thank you for saying I look pretty. But this is not that kind of live stream. Wrong channel. Right. Boom. Boom. There we go. Gone. Well, that's a first. Right. It depends on what lenses that you've got, actually, Ken. I know you brought them with you to the studio when you came down for a visit, but I can't remember what they were. If all of your lenses are EFS mounts, so for the Canon crop sensor system, which essentially is the white dot versus the where are we? The red dot of EF. Turn that off. So you've got a red dot mount on the front of that there, which is the EF mount. The EFS lenses will work only on the crop sensor cameras. The EF lenses will work on both full frame and the crop sensor cameras. So if you have, for example, an 18 to 55 kit lens, it'll work going forward if you buy a crop sensor camera, however not on the full frame. So you'd lose that lens if you did sell your 550D, go to a 6D Mark II, for example. You wouldn't be able to use it on that. However, if you've got a 50mm f1.8, for example, there, which is an EF mount, then that can be used on both of the formats, so crop or full frame. I've got to watch when I do say this, so I've been a big advocate of buying EF lenses for people as they upgrade, because it will carry them across a system or format, upgrade as well from crop to full frame. That being said, if you're staying with the crop sensor format, then you're better off in some respects with an EFS lens. especially on the wide angle side. So you can get a 10-22, for example, um, which will get you a wider field of view than the widest you'll probably get on a full frame, which for a reasonable price, which is 16-35. That on a crop ain't all that wide. It's 24 to whatever at that stage. Subvids, evening all. Evening subvids. Right. Whereabouts are you based? Let me know what lenses you actually have at the moment, Ken. I can probably better advise you doing that, but yes. Cool. Let me know where you're from, subvids. I hope you are well, given the current state of the world. I will say one thing to your comment you mentioned earlier, Ken, actually. I do miss having a flippy outy screen. It's so handy. I mean, I've got Wi-Fi on the 5D4, so technically I could connect the phone to it and use that kind of as a bit of a preview. But I'd rather just have the screen on the side. So I do miss that. Oh, you're just up the road, North Manchester. Cool. Not too far away. I'm based in Stockport myself. I hope you and your family are well. I don't know you, of course, but I hope everyone's well. And just to let you know, because you've just joined Subvids, I don't know whether you've kind of caught up with the gist of the chat from earlier on. It's just a bit of an informal one. I've just done a Facebook Live from a Facebook page, and as I suspected, that kind of tanked in terms of engagement because Facebook bury everything unless you pay. So I figured whilst I've got everything set up, why not go live on YouTube? So it's just a general chat, and feel free to ask any questions in the chat below, photography related. So a bit of a Q&A, ask me anything. If it's something that I can't get to or answer immediately, then I'll be making some pre-recorded Q&A videos over the coming weeks, whilst we've got some downtime, and why, to answer those questions. And within those, I can then reference images if I've got something that's suitable, or maybe do a screen capture or something like that at that point. So any questions, let me know. We'll do another 5 or 10 minutes and then I'll wrap this up. Oh, half an hour's got already. Man, time flies. Whilst I'm waiting to see if anything comes through, what we will do is, for those of you who are UK based, the company that I was mentioning earlier, which are Pixapro, that's their link there. They have an offer currently running, which was due to be running at the photography show, which we all know got postponed. That's running until the end of March, so March 30th. So if you are looking to grab something new, you can save some money there, of course. A white border. I'll hit the live view and tethering question in a moment, Ken. For subvids, for me, a white border, it's not really something I bother with myself. Although, to be fair, if you're posting something on a website service, that be it social media or your own website or what have you, that's got a theme that's primarily black, or maybe it's a blog that's black, you know, like the old Google blogger blog rolls and what have you, then sometimes adding that around an image can help it stand out, because if you've got a very dark image which has got a lot of black or dark tones in it, it kind of bleeds into the background. So then, yeah, I may consider doing a small border, a couple of pixels, but I tend not to do a larger, thicker border, which you may then watermark or sign or something like that maybe. It's not really something I go for. It's not to say it doesn't work, it depends on the image and its use really, I suppose. It depends on what you're going to do with it. Right, to go back to the live view and tethering, and totally different things. Now, when I shoot tethered in the studio, I'll have a USB cable connected to one of the 5Ds. It'll either be USB 2 for this or USB 3 for the other bodies. And I tend to shoot into Capture One these days, although Lightroom works fine. If I shoot into Lightroom, I can still use the screen on the back. if I shoot into capture one, that's dead, can't see anything. So I have to look at the tether at that point. You in Lightroom, even unless they've updated it, and I don't know, even in 2020, which as far as I'm concerned is a year, God, I want 2019 back, doesn't have live view, which amazes me. For live view tethering, you have it in Capture One, you have it in Tether Tool's own tethering software, but it's pretty limited because you can't apply presets and what have you to that. But live view, as you see on the back of the camera, in fact, let me see if I can show this. If I turn this 5D to on, where are we? 8,000th of a second. I need to slow that down. Let's go to that ISO 1000 f4. 2,500 and slow it down to 25th. There we go. Right. So this live view looking through the lens is going to be very bright that on that camera. Is not quite the same thing. That'll let you frame things up, especially if you're locked off on a tripod. But imagine doing flat lays with your camera pointing down in the studio, having to climb up a ladder and view through that. So I prefer Capture One because it lets me do live view and focus control that way. So not quite the same thing. Most cameras these days will have live view on them. You'd have to go back on the Canon series to the original 5D to not have live view, and the older 1D bodies, so most of them do have. So it's handy if you're not shooting tethered, certainly. Flip out screen allows you to place the camera low down on the tripod and turn that screen out and look at it without bending down, getting wet knees, whatever, if you're landscaping. But yeah, Lightroom does not do live view yet. I don't know why, to be honest with you. I don't know whether it's a license issue to the camera manufacturers, whether they want a license from Adobe, or Adobe to pay a license fee. Who knows? Photo book printers. Any recommends? God, it's been a minute since I've looked at them. Back in the day, there was like Photo Bucket, there was Blurb. I don't even know if they're around now. With you being North Manchester based, so I'm going to call you Sub. Sorry, sounds weird saying that, but Sub. Have a look at DS Colour Labs. You may be aware of them. They're based in Reddish and Disbury, I believe it is. But they do some photo book printing from there. They also outsource some stuff for aluminium print frames. They can print on wood, I think now. They do quite a lot of stuff. I used to use them myself for printing, but my God, every website you go on, it says important updates on COVID-19. Can't get away from it. I do any prints now that I deliver to clients are done through my Pixieset website, which goes to Loxley, which are based in Scotland at that point. It saves me having to manually fulfill the orders, and that's the only reason why. If I could use DS, I would. So we'll drop these guys in the chat, have a look at what they've got. There are a number of them in Europe as well. Can't remember the name off the top of my head. I don't know how many are in. Mr. Bodie, if you're still watching or around, you've done some print orders from some places in Europe. If you can drop it in the chat, that'll be handy. Don't know if he's still in or not. But yeah, have a look at DS Colour Labs. At least it's local. At least with that, once we can get out and about and the back up and running, you could drive down through down into Stockport and have a look at them. They've got some of the books to get hands on, see the print quality, see the binding quality, that way, rather than you looking online and placing an order and getting it and going, not so sure on that. There we go. Any more? For any more? Yeah, dear Adobe, please give us live view. Boom, boom. This will probably be after the live stream, I imagine, if people do watch the replay. If people are that bored, let me know below if you'd like to see some more of these going forward, and I'll get some scheduled, maybe with some topics to talk about or what have you, or just an informal chat and Q&A. Obviously, I'm limited to what I can demo during these because it's on the phone with an LED light, from the app. I can't screen share or what have you. I could live stream from the laptop, which will give me the capability to live share. You just at that point have to put up with the really crappy webcam. So that is an option potentially. Just let me know if you'd like to see some more of these. I'd normally do these from the studio, can't get there at the moment, and I'd also do them from my friend's studio, Ian's studio, which is next door. I've been on 2 of his live streams, I've done one myself, so we sometimes get together and do live streams, Q&As and shows there as well. So it's worth checking those out. Yeah, I think honestly, YouTube is the better platform for live streaming. Not through technological reasons, it's just you get more engagement straight away. No matter where you share it to on Facebook, it's like they go, oh, you've not paid us, so we're just going to bury that. I think Facebook have got too big for the boots. You're welcome, no worries, sub. Before I wrap this up, any more questions, drop them below. If you think of something later, feel free to hit the comments with it and I'll pick it up for my videos I'm going to be recording in the week. More live stuff will do. I'll get some scheduled and we'll see kind of how it builds and grows. I think it's important in today's world with what we're dealing with to keep busy, have something to take our minds off it. I know I've talked about it during this stream a little bit and it's just come up, which it will, it's on people's minds, I get it, but it's important to move yourself away from that, turn off the media, turn off the news for a bit. Yes, keep informed, but let's get back to the hobbies that we were enjoying before and just break away from that. And if it's just an informal chat, great if it helps. If it's a more structured kind of Q&A or something else, that's fine, we can look at doing that as well. It keeps me busy, it stops me thinking about this whole mess that's happening and worrying about the business, quite frankly. There we go. Right, another couple of minutes. I'll let it run to about 45 minutes, so we've got about another 3 or 4 minutes and then we'll end it there. So we'll see if any more come in. So thanks to those that have watched so far, and those who watch later. We'll look at doing a few more. This kind of format works because it's nice and easy to use with the phone. Honestly, the phone camera is better than the laptop one. Daft. I wish that I brought my capture card home in the HDMI cable. Anyway, then I could do a full setup. Well, there we are. See if any more come in. Oh, one thing that will drop in this as well. I mentioned this on the live chat I did on Facebook. So let me find the link to that as well. Where is the? If you, any guys watching have young kiddos, and obviously you're into photography, they may well follow your footsteps in that, or like to pick up your camera now and again, or run off with your phone, although that's probably to watch stuff on YouTube or play games. Anyway, then Zacharias has put something up on his YouTube channel within the last couple of days, which is basically an assignment for kids to make photographs of their toys using anything that they've got, mum and dad's camera, the camera phones, desk lamps, torches, LEDs on the phones, anything like that. Submissions due through to Zach by the end of the month. I think it's just a cool little thing to get them involved in, so it gets them maybe away from doing homeschooling and homework and get them thinking differently in a creative aspect as well. So it may well help them there. Okay, capture cards. Now, just to end on this, when I started researching all this for live streams, I needed something that would run via HDMI from the 5D Mark IV into a capture card into USB, because I'm using the laptop rather than a desktop. And I landed on the Elgato Camlink 4K. Now, obviously, I'm not going to stream in 4K because no one needs to see a 4K picture of me. But it will bring in a feed from, say, like a camcorder, a 5D Mark IV, into your computer USB, and then into some streaming software such as OBS, which is free, Open Broadcaster software. And there's also Open Broadcaster software variant called Stream Deck to look at as well, which is worth having a gander on. But do your research and make sure the camera that you own is compatible with the capture card that you're going to get. Some of them say they give a clean HDMI out, and the camera actually doesn't, so you still see your record little red lights and shutter speed information on the back. Sometimes they will give a clean HDMI out if you press the info button on the back of the camera, cycle all that display information off, and then turn the camera to manual focus. So you'll have to manually pre-focus it before you go live. Otherwise you'll see that square box in the middle of the screen throughout your stream. So it works with a fair few cameras. It works on the 5D4, even though that's not listed on the Elgato site because they've only tested limited cameras. But do your research before you grab one. But so far so good. The only issue I've had with it is now and again when you connect the camera, turn the camera on, you get a cross-processed looking image with false colours. Power cycle the camera a couple of times, gets rid of it. Now I don't know whether that's an issue with the cable, to be honest with you. Or not at that point, to be fair to the capture card, so I need to do a bit more research on that. Oh, with the GH4 you're laughing. That should be fine. I mean, you're going to be running manual focus anyway because the video autofocus on the GH4 not all that good, but as a video camera, clean HDMI out, the bitrate it can record that, it's a cracking bit of kit. I mean, it's, what is it now, 5-6 years old, that thing, and it can be picked up for a steal, so it's on my radar anyway. Nice little camera for video. But something like that would work. Oh, one other thing to look at. I don't know what you're wanting to do with your live stream sub, or how far you're looking to take it, but bearing in mind that the Camlink 4K from Elgato is 120, 130 pounds, maybe 150. Price change, it fluctuates. I got mine for 105 or 110 from Amazon Warehouse to save a bit of money. Bear in mind you'd need one of those for each camera you're going to pump in, and if you are going to go to multicam live streaming for whatever you're going to do, then take a look at the what is it, Blackmagic ATEM Mini, I think. Find a link for it. It's just been released and announced at one of the recent trade shows that actually happened, and it will take a USB-C feed in, and you can use USB-C from the Blackmagic out to a normal USB 3A, and fine, I've double checked that, and you can put in 4 HDMI feeds, an audio feed, and you've got switcher hard buttons as well as software panel as well. So the price on that's about 300 quid, and again I'm not selling this for them, it's caught my eye because it's like, wait a minute, if I want to add more cameras later, I'm spending near enough £150 for a USB dongle that will do the job but doesn't give me anything extra, when I might as well have got this thing instead and get rid of the other things. So it's just another option for you, really. There's a couple of videos out there on that unit on YouTube showing the feature set to see if it'll work for you, but it looks pretty impressive, to be honest with you, because you're doing hard button switches and swipes built into the unit, hardware encoded, so your laptop software wise doesn't need to do a ton of lifting at that point. Okay, you need to pump it into OBS still, but you're not doing the switching from there, then you're doing it hard on that panel. Right, I think we've got, we've gone nearly 50 minutes, so I think we will call it there, and I'll see if I can get a couple of these arranged. Do let me know what you'd like to see talked about on these. If you want them just kind of an open chat with a Q&A and just fluid, see how it goes, that's fine. If you want something a bit more structured, so maybe we can do one on this topic, on this topic, on this topic, then we can go that route as well. If there's something that I can't do or answer on a Q&A, be it pre-recorded or a live one, and I know someone within the industry that I can possibly get an answer from, I'll see if I can get maybe a video answer from them or get them to join us. Maybe not live on the chat, say through Skype, I don't know, but just within the chat, maybe they can answer some questions there. We'll see. Or topics will be good. Okay, so the question is what? As long as it's not COVID-19. Right, there we go. Okay, we'll kill it there. So thanks very much for watching, guys. Thanks for engaging. It means a lot. Make sure you stay safe. Follow your government guidelines. I know, harping on about this again. I get it. Let's all do our part to get this thing beaten and kick the shit out of COVID-19. And stay well and healthy. And I will see you in the next stream. Stay safe. Take care. And I'm looking to end this on the laptop, and it's on the phone. God, I'm losing the plot. Right, there we go. Oh, my legs. Yeah, I'm struggling standing up after a training session, but it was done by a live video with a personal trainer before. Oh, jeez. I'm getting too old. Right, how can I end this? Boop. Boop. How do I end it? Yes, there we go. I was worried there you're going to be streaming the kitchen for the rest of the night. Right, catch you later, guys.